Well, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here and delighted to end this great day on such wonderful energy. We have to be reminded that fatigue makes cowards of us all, so none of us are cowards in here tonight. What you've accomplished over the last 2 days has been remarkable and stunning, and you will feel the effects of this in this organization and the world beyond for years to come. But I ask you, as you entered this great, venerable institution, did you hear the walls whispering to you? Did you hear the conversations? Do you know the footprints in which you followed? The great men, the great women, the great leaders of our time have been in this institution, this organization, in this very room. Great debates have been held here about the greatest issues confronting mankind, and in the other rooms in this great organization. This is one such discussion. This is one such time. Did you hear the whispering of President Harry Truman when he proposed the rebuilding of Europe after World War II and the Marshall Plan? Did you hear the voice of Mother Teresa, who came to this body and talked about global love and commitment and service? Did we hear the voice whispering to us of Nelson Mandela, after his imprisonment, talking about building a great nation based on principles and values? Are we just walking down hallways? Or do we understand history? Isn't it great to be here? And isn't it great to be here? It's how we view the world, it's how we think about the world that's going to make the difference. By being here, we're changing our mindset. My thoughts have changed over the last 48 hours many times about what I wanted to say as we brought our time together to an end. These are momentous times. These are critical times. These are times when EO is going to make the difference. It's going to be the game changer. We have the opportunity more than any other organization in the world to build economic value, to create jobs, to build families, to sustain and create and develop communities, and to change the world and its vital resources. That's our responsibility, but that's our hope, that's our joy, that's our challenge. We must pay homage to those who have gone before us, because they were the pioneers, they were the path makers, they were the creators that give us the right to be here today to enjoy this wonderful opportunity. And so I hope we're cognizant of that. I hope we're thoughtful of that. For they have set a standard so high that we have to stretch ourselves to reach it, but we're capable. Let it not be lost on us the times in which we live. Let us not forget who we are and the role that we play. For EO, for our members, for our communities, and for our families. We stand in the breach, the difference maker, you and I. We have a stewardship and an obligation. These great issues that we've talked about, the 17 SDGs, the 4 that we embraced and spent time on, will make a difference for the world. We need to appreciate that the eradication of poverty, the creation of new jobs, building educational systems, clean water and sanitation, gender equality are among the most noble and great of the issues confronting us, and we must work on them. But let's not confuse being busy with being productive. Let's not confuse being busy with being impactful. There's an enormous difference and a big gap between those. Our job is to have big impact, not just to be busy. Don't shirk from our responsibilities and accountabilities as human beings in this room at this moment, and the choices and decisions we're making, and the prioritization of the things that we believe to be important for us and our generation as we begin the changing of this world. Dante once said, the hottest places in hell are reserved for those people who in times of moral crisis remain neutral. No one may remain neutral in this time of moral crisis. You and I are up to the job. And we can do what we've set out to do. I believe we're on the precipice of time, a pivot point for EO and its members. That this organization will be forever changed because of what's gone on here in the last year. because of the commitments you're going to make today by signing these very declarations. To say, I will do what I've said I will do. That is our obligation. That is the change we want. We are being asked to accept a higher calling, not the same calling. We must change ourselves to change the world. It's not enough to be good, we have to be great. You and I have that opportunity and that full potential. We're creating a new momentum, not only around these 17 SDGs, but a new momentum for our families, a new momentum for our corporations, a new momentum for our communities. We are going to do things differently. But necessarily, EO must change a bit too. And I'd encourage the future leaders to think that we must become a much more externally facing organization. We're really great at teaching, training, guiding, loving, sharing ourselves with each other. But now we must share ourselves with the world. Now we must position ourselves as leaders. Now we must turn and face the world in a new way because we have new knowledge and we've made new commitments. We, in fact, must embrace humanity in a new way. We have to unlock the doors for marginalized people, marginalized communities, and marginalized societies. We are that upper 1/10 of 1% in the world. What we say and do here won't necessarily affect our lives, but we can affect the lives of 7 billion people across this globe. That's the challenge of leadership. That's who we are today. I applaud the EO leaders who have brought us this opportunity to have these very discussions today, to create conflict, but to still love each other in the process, to gain better acknowledgement and acceptance of what these issues are, the respectful consideration we have one for the other as we discuss very differing viewpoints, and we approach compromise and consideration as we think about these most important issues. It's taken EO leadership, clarity of vision, certainty of intent, and the power of EO values to have the confidence that a group like this could come together and begin the process of change. To be the world's most influential community of entrepreneurs, which our stated vision, goal, and objective, we must establish ourselves as greater leaders in service to mankind. That through this externally facing situation and embracing humanity in new and different ways, we in fact create a global movement, the likes of which this world has never seen. The power is within us. Our world is asking us, you and me, as individual entrepreneurs, to do more, to do better, to be smarter, to use the knowledge and wisdom that we had to help individual lives change. I'm reminded of the old pastoral saying that as we walk out of here today, don't talk, just act. Don't say, just show. Don't promise, just prove. You and I have to lead by our very example what we want the world to be. And we start with us as individuals, in our homes, in our families. Are there changes we can make? In our businesses, have we learned enough over the last 2 days to say we can do it better? We can do it differently. We have the power to do that. If an individual auditor of the SDGs showed up in our home, our business today, how would we fare? How would we score? How are we doing? Are there a couple things we could do better and differently? How are the plastic bottles mounting in our trash can? There are so many things that we have to embrace and decide to do differently. Well, you're now the champions. You're the leaders. You've been knighted to go forth and serve and slay the dragons. That's what your opportunity is. And that's why I'm here, because I'm passionate about the same things you're passionate about. And we can quibble and squabble and disagree on the little stuff, but by golly, we're going to change the world. That's what we're about. That's who we are. I believe someday we will understand what is said by this: what we have does not determine who we are. Who we are determines what we have. Who we are as human beings, what we believe in, what we stand for, will determine what we have in the future. Sustainability is the minimum requirement to be successful in the world going forward, and we must be that quality. Martin Luther King once said, we may have to repent in this generation not for the violent acts of bad people, but for the inaction of good people who believe that time will cure all ills. Time will not cure the ills of any society in and of itself. It takes great people doing great things continuously and ferociously to make that difference and to accept that challenge. Well, the baton gets passed from generation to generation. My generation inherited a world that was better, I believe, than the one we're handing you. You got a big job ahead. We're separated by just about a generation in time. But I'm with you. I'll help you. I'll work with you. I'll get my hands dirty, whatever we have to do to solve these problems. But you must be the rising generation, and the generations that follow you must be rising generations. You must rise up to meet the leadership challenge that's being offered to you right now at this time. You must rise up to meet the challenges of these global issues in spades. You must rise up to your personal commitment in your personal life and your corporate life to make the changes necessary, to honor the commitments that you've made here today. You must rise up as a servant to others in selflessness. Instead of the narcissistic, individualistic society which we see all around us, we are to be servants of others. We are to give of ourselves to make them better. And we must rise up to be champions of this great cause. So can you hear the voices? Are you listening to the walls? Can you see the footsteps? One day, you will return here many years from now, and you'll be holding the hand of your children and grandchildren and walking the halls of this great institution. And you'll lean down and whisper to them, this is where it started. This is where it began. This is where EO changed the world. Thank you.